Good evening, everyone. After three exciting sessions of design thinking workshop, I welcome you all to fourth day of design thinking, and I'm literally very much excited. So, without wasting much time, let's move to Disha Kaushal, ma'am, and she will be taking it further.
Thank you, Ashwini. It's very heartwarming whenever students, actually understand and appreciate the effort that you put into creating a lecture or a session, and try to drive the enthusiasm through your class. And I really hope that I've been able to do some of that. So
Yeah, ma'am.
without
Till now, I literally enjoyed every session of yours, and especially yesterday's session was amazing. So, I'm just excited for today.
Okay, great. So today's session, I'll do a quick recap about what we did yesterday, and let me go on to presentation mode.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Yes. So so far we have discussed about the design thinking framework. In On day one, we spoke about how empathy is important in order to be able to design something new and be truly able to understand and co-create with your user, and some techniques that we also learned about empathy and how they can help us understand the problem area or the challenge fully and completely, using all the findings and the learnings from the stakeholders. There is one part that I felt that maybe I might have missed, and I think I did miss out on that. That whenever you are doing research, there are three levels of findings that you will do. Number one is something that is a fact. Number two is something that is an observation that you watch during research, or you know hear during research, and or see during research, and then make a note of it. So that will be an observation, and that's not such an obvious fact. It's just something that you have observed or learned from your user. Third one, and probably the most important one, is an insight. So, an insight is something which the user does not tell you directly and is not very apparent also, but you have to dig deeper into your questioning and try to make sense of what the user is trying to say, what he or she is doing, and what they actually have in mind, or what their um, dormant requirements are. So, in order to be able to understand these three things, let me give you a very simple example. Say, for example, if I have a dog, a dog needs to be fed 2 times a day. That is a fact. Okay. Now, I am feeding my dog early in the morning after he freshens up, that time, and later at night, just before I take him out for a walk. Okay. So these are the 2 times that I am feeding my dog. So the first one was the fact that the dog needs to be fed 2 times. And my specific dog, my schedule for this dog is that, early morning after the stroll, and late in the night just before taking him out one more time. These are the 2 times that I'm feeding my dog. So this is an observation. An insight would be something like that: although I have fed my dog 2 times, I feel slightly guilty at some level every time I'm eating something and my dog is around. The dog has been fed in the optimum amount, whatever his requirements are, and he's being well fed. But even then, if I'm feeling guilty around my dog, if I'm eating anything, that is something that you call an insight. Ashwini, is are the three things understood? I mean, they are different from one another: a fact, observation, and an
Yes,
insight. Okay, great. So this is something that I thought that I might have missed, and an insight is something which you will have to really go through your interviews and your observations and whatever research you've done. A lot of times with your group, understand it. What they are saying, what they could have meant possibly. So it will really help you when you are ideating and prototyping. So another example, or well, not really an example, but this is something that from my own class that had happened. I was taking this session and I'm in there, and the faculty themselves had suggested that, why don't you talk to the students about their fitness, and why aren't they doing anything about it, despite the fact that there are so many health facilities, there's a gym on campus and there's a playground and so many other things. So why is it not being used to its best possible use? And we posed this question among four other challenges, and one of the groups had taken this up. The two groups had taken this up, and one of the groups had a very interesting observation when they, conducted their interviews. One of the users said that, I'm already crunched for time. There is hardly any time to prepare for anything, or find time for yourself, because sometimes the classes start as early as 8 in the morning and it can go up to 11, because it's a residential campus, so we can be called in at any point of time. And a lot of our time goes into just preparing for lectures or doing the assignment, so there's hardly any time left for exercise. And one more student who was sitting right beside said that, I find it very tedious and annoying to do my laundry, to wash my clothes. And every time I go out, even for a little stroll or a run or any sport that we are playing on a Sunday or any holiday, then the clothes are so drenched in sweat that you have to wash it immediately. You can't use it even for an hour after that. So I don't personally feel like doing any activity or sports because I'm crunched for time. I hate doing laundry, and every exercise or any activity that I do is going to create more laundry work for me. So this insight, I told them, this is a very, very important insight, and you should take this up and work on it. Just by using this insight that, a user is telling you a very specific problem, or and it is a big hindrance or a deterrent for the user to use the gym or to do any kind of exercise. So maybe you should do something about it. So when we got into ideation and prototyping, I told them, think of a laundry membership as part of your gym package, or promote, design something or plan something in a manner that laundry is taken care of. So when we built that during the testing phase, it was very, very highly appreciated by the users. And even the users who had not pinpointed it earlier that laundry was a problem, they related to it so much that they said that if the service is launched on campus, I would 100% sign up for this. Although you get to know the reality or the effectiveness of any product or service only after you have taken it to the user and they start using it. But even then, that kind of reaction or applause from the user creates a very positive impact. So that is why I was telling you that look for insights and be very thorough and detailed. It is a very meticulous process. It's not a flash of genius. So you need to work with a group, work collectively. It is exhaustive, it is iterative, and you have to keep doing the same thing again and again and again until unless you create something which truly strikes a chord with your user. So in order to be able to take a solution or an idea to your user, we need something which we call as a prototype. Now, a prototype can mean a lot of things to different people. For some, it means a semi-finished version of your product or app. For some, it can mean something very crude or just like a paper mock-up. For some people, it can be a working model. So a prototype can be all of these things, but it is highly encouraged that when you get into prototyping, you do something which is called as dirty prototyping or low fidelity prototyping, where you do not invest a lot of time into building the prototype because you might have to discard it very soon and add layers to it. So there is no point beautifying it, because this is one problem that I've faced in the last 6 7 years a lot of times, that students get attached so much value to their prototype or model that it is very difficult for them to move away from it. And when they take it to the user during the testing phase, they start defending their pure prototype, which is not good, because आप एक लिमिटेड ग्रुप के साथ अपने प्रोडक्ट को या प्रोटोटाइप को डिफेंड कर सकते हो. When think about it, when you launch your product or your app or any service that you have planned in the market, there you cannot go on holding everybody's collars that, why are you not using it, I had designed it thinking this in mind. So it's a futile exercise if you try to defend your product. You have to take it to the user, take their feedback, and try to modify it or change it according to their needs as and when you can. So that is where your prototyping, dirty prototyping, or low fidelity prototyping is of great help, because you can quickly build, show it to the user, give them a sense of how the thing is going to look like, work like, and the functionality around, allow them to play with it in a physical manner. When you have something tactile and tangible in your hand, it allows for more conversation. People can say what they feel about it, and instead of talking hypothetically कि ऐसा होगा फिर मैं ऐसा करूंगा फिर मेरी machine इधर से निकलेगी and then you it will do this for you. It is very hard for the other person to imagine in the same manner as you are envisioning. So in order to bridge that gap from one person's thinking to the other, we have to come up with a prototype which is something more concrete, more tangible, something that allows the user to interact with. Okay. Yes, like I said, prototyping is giving concrete shape, visualization to your ideas and explorations to build the concept forward through co creation. This helps create a vision of the idea, like I said, and communicate it clearly to the users and stakeholders. Rapid prototyping can have many forms. You can build a storyboard. Storyboard, आपको पता है? Storyboard is something like quick sketches which illustrate step by step. This is going to happen and this is going to happen, and you can illustrate in the form of pictures, telling the user that आप ये करोगे फिर ऐसा होगा फिर ये होगा, and through that visual narrative they can understand how the journey of or your experience with that product or service is going to be. All right. So one is storyboard. Definitely, there is something called is role play or body storming. Role play is when you enact it, and this works typically well when in the case of services or something which has to mirror physical behavior. It works very well over there, and I have done it with my students. कभी कभी स्टूडेंट्स ने नुक्कड़ नाटक एंड थिएटर का भी यूज काफी किया है, especially when they wanted to create finance services for the low income groups on campus. So ऐसे भी बहुत सारे concepts आते हैं, and depending on the kind of challenge that is thrown to you, you will select the kind of prototype that you want to make. Then works like feels like models like paper prototypes or cardboard के storyboarding, like I told you, it could be a simple drawing or even a flow chart. Yes, this is one of the students' work from my class only. Yes, this is from the internet, so this is also a storyboard. Then role playing is physically experiencing the situation through enacting. So here they are creating an experience about on-flight experience, how you're going to feel by using that device, and they've created something of paper or fabric to give you a sense of how it will uh, feel. So then last year in 2019 December, we were working with a group of students in Ghaziabad, IMD Ghaziabad, and they were talking about one of the challenges that was thrown to them was about excessive pollution and the need to protect yourself in the smog, especially the area, the timing after Diwali and dense winters. So um, how do you make the situation better, or at least a little more breathable for people who had breathing difficulties? And then they came up with a range of wearable technology where your clothing is also filtering out the pollution and many other things. So there also they had used something like this only. This was the whole purpose of giving that example. Yeah, this is also another model. These are also many models. So you can use and designers have a habit of building things using mix matching many things. So this is like a bottle cleaner, a thin brush cleaner, over here, and they've used it to create something like a switchboard or a machine like this one is an example of a wearable watch. So they used just another strap or some black paper to give the impression of a wearable technology and how you will interact with it. This, of course, is using Lego, and Lego is used extensively for Lego blocks are used extensively for prototyping because it's very easy to build and rebuild and dismantle and quickly make something else or add layers to it. So this is there, and this was another example of a model of increasing footfalls in the library. So yeah, in apps or mobile based services, this kind of model works really well, where you can slide your screens one by one, what will come after the other, and this prototyping really gives your user a sense of how they're going to interact with the app. Then these are also cardboard models. Of course, this is a very beautiful model and it's not really a low fidelity model. So you can come up with something more crude also. All right. I wanted to also show you something. So let me go move on to that.
This comes from a project manager in Sao Paulo. How do you move from an idea to a prototype? This comes from a project manager in Sao Paulo. How do you move from an idea to a prototype? Hey, got a minute?
A couple ways I'd like to do it. One way is kind of go right into sketching. So I'll sketch my ideas and try to visualize what that idea is. And then from there, I'll take that to the next level and prototype. I'll come to the shop and I use the prototyping materials here, foam core, paper, other materials to help build the idea up and help me think through the idea. And this also helps me communicate this back to my team or to a consumer, how big it is, how much it weighs, how you interact with it. I might try different kinds of paper for a packaging project or different plastics, and I'll build multiple ideas, and each time I learn from that.
Grofers Houseful Sale. करिए महीने
You saw how these designers were using paper prototypes, quickly sketching out a set of ideas and using different combinations. So that is also how it typically works. That you initially sketch it out on paper, and then you try to build something more physical so that the user can hold it. Of course, it has more value when your user is able to interact with the prototype themselves, because then only will they be able to give you feedback. कि, अच्छा ये, how do I do this? It means that your design is not self-explanatory. It is not telling the user that this is what they should be doing it. So you go ahead and integrate that into your design or your product. So that is how it should be. I'll show you some other examples also. There's this very famous video of redesigning a shopping cart. It was one of the videos where after which IDEO as a design research agency got become very famous. So you can look at that. One second.
Tonight, the deep dive. One company's secret weapon for innovation. We went to IDEO, the product design folk, and said, take something old and familiar, like, say, the shopping cart, and completely redesign it for us in just 5 days. ABC News correspondent Jack Smith tells us what happened next.
9 in the morning, day one, and these people have a deadline to meet. So welcome to the kickoff of the shopping cart project.
This is Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley. And these are designers at IDEO, probably the most influential product development firm in the world. IDEO has designed everything from high-tech medical equipment to the 25-foot mechanical whale in the movie Free Willy and the first computer mouse for Apple. Smith ski goggles, Nike sunglasses, NEC computer screens. Hundreds of products we take for granted.
The point is that we're not actually experts at any given area. You know, we're kind of experts on the process of how you design stuff. So we don't care if you give us a toothbrush, a toothpaste tube, a tractor, a space shuttle, you know, a chair. It's all the same to us. We want to figure out how to innovate by using our process, applying it.
Project leader is Peter Skillman, a 35-year-old Stanford engineer. Project leader because he's good with groups, not because of seniority. He's only been at IDEO for 6 years. The rest of the team is eclectic, but that's typical here. Whitney Mortimer, Harvard MBA. Peter Coughlin, linguist. Tom Kelly, Dave's brother, marketing expert. Jane Fulton-Suri, psychologist. Alex Kazaks, 26, a biology major, who's turned down medical school 3 times because he's having too much fun at IDEO.
So, again, I'm interrupting because I wanted to let you know that, how important it is to bring diversity into your group. If nothing else, at least get in people from different departments when you're working on a project or any innovation, any challenge that you take part in from college.
Safety emerges early as an important issue.
22,000 child injuries a year, and so they're hospitalized injuries. I mean, there are many others.
And theft. It turns out a lot of carts are stolen. As the team works, it becomes clear there are no titles here, no permanent assignments.
And the other side it gives us a lot of help, says, be safe. I'll give you a big red ball on a post, and that says you're a big guy. If you got a ball, you're a senior vice president. What do I care? The desk, the red ball, it's all the same. In a very innovative culture, you can't have a kind of hierarchy of here's the boss and the next person down, the next person down, the next person down, because it's impossible that the boss is the one who's had the insightful experience with shopping carts. It's just not possible.
The team splits into groups to find out firsthand what the people who use, make, and repair shopping carts really think.
Okay, go.
The problem with the plastic cart is the wind catches it. Yeah. And these things have been clocked at 35 across the parking lot.
Man, that's actually a pretty good point. The trick is to find these real experts, and so that you can learn much more quickly than you could by just kind of doing it the normal way and trying to learn about it yourself.
From everything I read, these things aren't that safe either, So probably the seat itself is going to have to be redesigned.
One of the interesting things for me is looking at how people really don't like to let go of the cart, except for the professional shopper, whose strategy is to leave the cart at various places.
3:30 in the afternoon, and the group is back at IDEO. There is no let-up.
Each team is going to demonstrate and communicate and share everything that they've learned today.
A shopping cart has been clocked at 35 miles an hour traveling through a parking lot in the wind.
We were in the store, 2 hours, and it was truly frightening just to see the kind of stuff going on.
You got to designate some people to make damn sure that the store owner's point of view is represented.
After 9 straight hours, the team is tired. They call it a day.
So,
everybody cool?
Well, that's great. Thanks a lot. We had a great time today.
IDEO's mantra for innovation is written everywhere. One conversation at a time. Stay focused. Encourage wild ideas. Defer judgment. Build on the ideas of others.
That's the hardest thing for people to do, is to restrain themselves from criticizing an idea. So if anybody starts to nail an idea, they get the bell.
The ideas pour out and are posted on the walls.
Oh, the blind, the privacy blind. Like when you're buying 6 cases of condoms, no one sees. If it doesn't nest, we don't have a solution.
Organized chaos. It's not organized. What it is it's focused chaos.
Vote with your Post-it, not with an idea that's cool, but with an idea that's cool and buildable. If it's too far out there and it can't be built in a day, then I don't think we should vote on it. Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of lone genius.
Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of the lone genius. If anything sums up IDEO's approach, that is it. Worried that the team is drifting, what can only be called a group of self-appointed adults under Dave Kelly holds an informal side session.
Four or five teams, and we give each team a need area. It becomes very autocratic for a very short period of time in defining what things people are going to work on.
If you don't work under time constraints, you could never get anything done because it's a messy process and go on forever.
Back at the shop, it is 6 o'clock. The 4 mock-ups are ready for showing.
Baskets also can be, if you think you will have more volume, baskets can be put in.
A modular shopping cart you pile hand baskets onto. A high-tech cart that gets you through the traffic jam at checkout.
That you could mount a scanner on the shopping cart so that you as the customer.
So can you see that they've not used actual prototype, and they've just used temporary things, fixtures, so that they can explain the idea quickly and dismantle and build on to the next.
As you pull it off the shelf, would scan each item.
One that's built around child safety, and another that lets shoppers talk to the supermarket staff remotely.
Yeah, where can I find a yogurt?
But the adults, again, decide more work needs to be done before the mock-ups can be combined into one last prototype.
Why don't we have all the carts come up here for a second?
I think you take a piece of each one of these ideas and kind of back it off a little bit and then put it in the design.
The design is still not there, but there's another motto at IDEO: fail often in order to succeed sooner. And some of the team will be up half the night trying to put together a design that finally does work.
There it is! So we took the best elements out of each prototype.
The cart, which is designed to cost about the same as today's carts, is different in every other way.
What do you think?
Well, I'm very proud of the team. I think it's great.
Does this work for you?
Works for me great. It's also beautiful.
The cart's wheels turn 90 degrees so it can move sideways. No more lifting up the rear in a tight spot. And you shop in a totally different way. The bags are hung on hooks on the cart's frame. Remember, there is no basket here.
At first, I was a little shocked, but I think you have some fantastic ideas here. It needs a little refining, but I think that it's great. I mean, we would want them.
She also gave us some really good comments about how we can make this thing better.
A lot of hours. Also, an open mind, a boss who demands fresh ideas be quirky and clash with his, a belief that chaos can be constructive, and teamwork, a great deal of teamwork. And these are the recipe for how innovation takes place. This is Jack Smith for Nightline in Palo Alto, California.
Grow Fast Houseful Sale. करिए महीने की शुरुआत राशन.
Sorry, that was not intended. Yes, so I wanted to share this with you. This is a very beautiful video and still makes sense. I'd seen it I think around 12 years ago when I was still in college, and even today it makes so much sense to whenever you are building prototypes, it makes sense to bring multiple ideas together in the sense that you divide your team so that each prototype is developed. If you don't have that much those many people, then you work on one idea at a time and develop 2-3 prototypes and then take it to people for testing. They will like something in one, and in the other they will say that this is nice, this is not nice, and they themselves will give you solutions that actually work for them. Only when they see something tangible, something that they can work with, feel it in their hands and move around in the space, in order to get a physical experience of what the product or service is going to be. So in that way, I think that your prototyping is a very, very important exercise, and it really, really helps you understand how you are placed in terms of your progress from your initial problem statement to your ideation stage, and then when you go on to building something. Right. Make sense, Ashwini?
Yes, ma'am, this is really amazing.
Okay. There's one more example actually that I wanted to share with you all about prototyping, especially for mobile applications, and one for body storming and role playing. So I think I'll first show you for body storming or role playing.
Which notes that a heavy weight has landed on it, and therefore it triggers the machine to start. Welcome to the Vox Pop booth. Press.
1 second. So this man and his team is working on a Vox Pop booth. So a Vox Pop is something. Vox Pop is popular voice. It literally translates to that. So this is a booth which is taking a survey from people and their opinions on what works for them, what is popular amongst the youth, what is not. So this booth is just like a kiosk in a multiplex or in a mall that you go into, and it asks you to enter something, select something like that. So they have built a cardboard model to suggest what an actual kiosk or a booth will look like, and then the user is interacting with the kiosk.
Which notes that a heavy weight has landed on it, and therefore it triggers the machine to start. Welcome to the Vox Pop booth. Press the start button to begin today's survey. Thank you. Today's survey is about confectionery. First, the first question. Can you please tell us whether outside of the booth you met a researcher asking you about confectionery? Press yes, press you met the researcher or you did not. I'd now like to ask you some questions about different sorts of confectionery. Here are 3 types of confectionery. Please press each of the buttons. Press a button for each of the ones that you have tried before.
So it might seem a little chaotic and funny to you right now, but this is how typically things work when you're trying to create something which has a man-to-machine interaction. And a lot of work in AI that is being developed today uses these principles so that you can understand human behavior, the kind of interactions that they will have, and create something accordingly.
Pressing A and B. You pressed A and B. Please give your opinion to the camera. You'll be videoed of these confectionery.
A is pretty cool. It's got a nice combination of different shapes. I like the purple ones particularly. B is kind of boring, but I eat them in the car because it takes me ages to chew through them.
So yes, this is something that I wanted to share with you, that how a physical prototype or a role play or body storming works like. And there's one more thing that I wanted to share with you all is something where a prototype was very, very easy. And in fact, this idea how they built it and they developed it is truly amazing. How simple it is. The beauty of it lies in how low cost it is, because if you remember, I had told you yesterday also, the most effective, the most deep reaching and the most penetrating ideas are those which are coming out of the system itself and do not use anything externally. So have a look at this. I'll play it for you. 1 second.
Diarrhea still kills 1.1 million children annually in developing countries. Lifebuoy believes this can be averted. The Mahakumbh Mela, India, 2013, the largest religious festival on the planet. Over 100 million people come here to pray together, live together, and eat together. Lifebuoy Soap saw this as the perfect opportunity to convey an important message. Always wash your hands with soap before you eat. Our medium, the roti or Indian bread, served with almost every Indian meal. And the only way to eat it is with your hands. We created a heat stamp capable of leaving a simple message on a roti. Did you wash your hands with Lifebuoy? And over 30 days, a team of 100 people stood in 100 kitchens, stamping over 2.5 million fresh rotis, helping us to reach out to over 5 million visitors at the Mahakumbh Mela. So, will people remember to wash their hands before their next meal? Let's pray they do.
All right, so this was another example that I thought that it was very relevant in terms of ideation, how low cost and how effective things can be once you integrate in the context and in the in the environment of the user. Brilliant example. Mm. So I wanted to ask Ashwini that if we have faced any questions or any questions have come up on the YouTube channel, so we can take them up right now.
And people are really understanding a lot, and till now we have not got any questions. I guess you are explaining so well that everything is really clear. I mean, they are just enjoying and discussing some ideas, but I don't see a questions there. If I don't see, I will just ask you.
Okay, because I mean, I think this is one big limitation of the digital medium, that you don't get to see the students' reactions, and sometimes they have projects that you really need mentoring and some kind of hand holding so that they can launch the product in the market and take it to the user. But this doesn't allow us to have that kind of interaction. But hopefully soon, when things get better and we're out of this corona phase, I'll be back in your campus, and we can have further detailed discussions about your projects and the things that you are going to build. Today's session is going to be a little shorter, and because I had planned it to be that way. If there's anything that you want me to revise or take up from any of the 3 days earlier, then I'd be more than happy to do that right now. And I'll also tell you what we're going to have in store for tomorrow. Tomorrow we will talk about the final stage of the design thinking framework, which is that of testing, and also introduce to you the business model canvas. BMC is the common tool used in most management colleges, and I think it is very important for you all to understand that what is the user's journey once they start using a product or a service, and how you can build interventions to make their life better at any one point or through a series of points. In fact, I think I can show you something right now that will help you understand that what a customer journey map is and how it can really help you innovate in your service. And this typically should come in your empathy and design phase. And later, when you get into ideation, you create a new customer journey map based on what your new idea is. So I'll show you an example of a customer journey map also. Just a minute.
this is and how
Okay, wait.
no matter how great our product or service is and how effective our advertising and marketing may be, we won't be able to make customers happy if we don't understand what they experience when they come into contact with our organization. Happy customers will come back to us.
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am, but are you showing any video because we cannot see it?
You can't see the video?
No, ma'am.
Okay, just a minute. I will close it and just a minute. Can you see it now?
No, ma'am. Still, I can just.
Okay, wait. I'll start doing it again. 1 second.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great.
No matter how great our product or service is and how effective our advertising and marketing may be, we won't be able to make customers happy if we don't understand what they experience when they come into contact with our organization. Happy customers will come back to us, rave about us to all their family and friends, and stay with us for a long time. In short, happy customers lead to happy profits. So, how do we make our customers happy? Research shows that emotions are powerful drivers of customer decisions and behaviors. Negative emotional experiences stand out more in a customer's memory, especially if the customer is frustrated or angry. The first step in making our customers happy is to understand their emotional experience, feelings, questions, and motivations as they come into contact with our organization. To do this, we have to step into their shoes and experience our organization through their eyes. We do this through customer journey mapping. Customer journey mapping follows the journey that the customers have with our organization and describes all the experiences they have, both functional and emotional, as well as the emotional responses those experiences provoke. It is essentially a strategic tool to ensure every interaction and every touch point a customer has with us is as positive as it can be. Touch points are any point of contact between the customer and our organization. As an organization, the information we obtain from customer journey mapping will help us gain an overall business view of the experience delivered by all customer-facing functions, identify gaps between the desired customer experience and the one actually received at each touchpoint, identify critical opportunities and moments of truth that create a good and bad impression on the customer. A positive moment of truth would be a planned surprise that delights the customer. Focus on areas of importance, what we can do more of, and areas not valued by customers, so costs can be optimized. Determine key requirements such as skills, systems, and procedures, and develop and improve cross-functional alignment across the organization. It is through a customer journey mapping exercise that we can understand the customer's emotions better and guide us on what should be the main focus in delighting our customers and winning their loyalty. Find out how customer journey mapping can help create a differentiated customer experience by getting in touch with T&I Malaysia.
All right. So this spoke about a couple of things which I think I have not introduced to you, so I will cover that also. Customer journey mapping is an important tool which helps you take through the entire journey that your customer goes through. It becomes particularly important in terms of creating experiences. Like, say, for example, your challenge is to, anything. Say, like, how do we get students to come back to the campuses and attend classes on campus if they are still scared about the contagion effect, how they might get infected by so many people on the same campus, or if they have gotten too comfortable with the home model of education. So if this is something, a question, then it involves a lot of factors and a lot of agents that, interactions that you will have. First interaction will be your mode of communication on how you convey it to your student body, whether it is WhatsApp or whether it is your internal messaging system, college's internal messaging system, or is it through the college email or some other newsletter. Then the kind of reactions that you get, the parents, of course, they are going to be very important because their consent is also needed, and the student will also have some kind of likeliness. Either they want to be on campus, they want to meet their friends, they want to have that active college life back again, or the second reaction can be that they are still deterrent because of course the scare has not gone completely, and they want to wait till the time vaccine dosages have been given to the young and healthy population as well, not just the frontline workers. So it could be either way. So in order to find out this, you have to get reactions from the people, how they are conducting classes right now. Even the people, a few of them, if they've started going back to the college, resume those classes on campus, then how is that working out for them? So the entire journey you need to trace using all these steps involved, and at each step you need to say that what is a pleasure point and what is a pain point, what is it that works at that during that task, and what is it that does not work, and whenever thing does not work, how might we remove that? And if it's something is more pleasurable, like say for example meeting your friends after a long time, how might we make that experience more memorable, more enjoyable, and also safeguard the interest and health of everyone, that nobody is infected. So these are things that you will look for typically if you create a customer journey map for a challenge like this. There are many other challenges. It could be something very basic also that, say, for example, grocery shopping, as mundane as grocery shopping. So grocery shopping experiences will also differ from customer to customer. How the grocery shopping goes for me and my husband and my father-in-law is very different. Because for me, if I have to go for grocery shopping, I will first check the kitchen, shelves and the storeroom and the fridge, what existing stocks we have. So that becomes one touch point, the kitchen shelves, the refrigerator, the storage rooms, all of them become touch points. Secondly, I will ask the family members if there's anything their needs personally, that they are missing out on, that has not been accessible for them. So I'll ask them, what do you need? And take that in account. Then I prepare a list. And now the list can be on a paper or it can be on my mobile phone. So those also become touch points. Then how I choose to go to, the grocery store, whether I drive to the point or I walk to the point, whatever that is. If I choose to drive, then my car also becomes a touch point. And the moment I reach there, how I collect stuff, the trolley, how I put it in the trolley, or if I buy from a local grocery, how big is the bag that I'm carrying, because the bag is also a touch point, and who is the person who's loading stuff into it. So your touch points typically are people, places, objects, anything that you can call a noun will be your touch points, and your task will be all the verbs, any activity that is involved, and your triggers or reactions, your pain or pleasure points will be your emotions at each step. So you need to list them down. And the journey will also end and begin at different points for different users. So for me, it started with, checking the stock, taking the stock and buying stuff, getting it back to my house, taking it out of the car, putting it in some place, sanitizing everything, and then keeping everything where it should be. The journey for my husband is going to be very different, because I have to call him up or message him or tell him that yeah, 1 2 3 da da da, these are the things that you have to get. His task begins from there. No list taking, no stock checking, nothing. And then he goes to the market, buys the same stuff. He'll not even bother to check anything else if it is needed for the house. Comes back, it's still in the car. Maybe I have to go and pick it out, and I have to remind him that you have to take it out of the car. So these journeys are different for different people. That is why it's an important tool, and it works very well in the service industry. It is really helpful. So when you are prototyping, this step needs to repeat it again, so that you build your prototype according to this journey. So this is also going to be part of your prototyping experience, and then you can take it and test it with your users. This was the journey earlier. These are the changes that I've made. What more do you think that I can add, or what I should change, or what I should not have changed? Get an opinion like that. So yeah, that is, I think, all from me today.
That was really wonderful, ma'am. Actually, we have got few questions.
Okay.
There's Amit Kumar. He is asking that if touch point fails at last point, is it a waste of all other touch points ideas?
You are, I think what he means to say is that, if the experience at the end of a service is bitter, I think it will spoil the entire experience from before also.
Yes, ma'am. I guess the same.
So yes and no also, because there will be some things that your user will like, and some things that they will probably not appreciate. So that is where your testing becomes very handy and effective. That you take it to them, and they will themselves tell you that I don't like how it is ending, or I don't like how it is starting, but or how I don't like the whole tedious process in the middle somewhere. So the whole benefit of testing is that you fail fast, fail early, and you will get to know what next you need to change on, and what do you need to integrate in your next prototype.
I hope, Amit, you got your answer. And there is one more question from Gaurav. He is asking that does team size matters in ideation and prototyping?
Yes, it does. I think it does a lot, because your team cannot be too small or too large, because too small a team, it kind of constricts the kind of ideas that you can think of. And if it is too limited, then you cannot have the kind of quantity that you would probably desire. I know it. Most people who are working on some new ideas, they choose a comfort group, the people that they've worked with earlier, their closest friends, with whom they have a good rapport otherwise. But that, in my personal experience, that doesn't always translate into good business, because you need to have people from different groups, from different walks of life, from different geographies, different genders, and it adds more value, definitely adds more value. And yeah, so and also if the team size is very large, then there is very little participation, because people keep transferring the work, ye kar lenge, wo kar lega, yeah, and then it dilutes the purpose. So there is in a very big teams, it's usually 3 or 4 people who work, and then it's diluted. So I think 6 or 7 is the upper cap that you should keep when you're working in such a group, because too large a group becomes very difficult to manage, even for a facilitator. So you should always have one person who's good with group dynamics, manage the group activities, and then move ahead with that.
Okay, ma'am. I hope, Gaurav, you too got your answer. And if you have any further query, you can just tell us and we will convey it to ma'am. So I guess we have now come to end of the session. It was really an amazing one, and we will be looking forward for further more sessions. And I will be really waiting for you to come to my campus. So thank you everyone for joining. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.